Okay, hello, this is Meech Tarantulas, and today I'm going to do a video on getting your first tarantula and what you will need. So when you're getting your first tarantula, the first thing you'll need is an enclosure. Now an enclosure can go from anything. You can get a nice expensive Exoterra glass enclosure, or you can do what most people do, which is by far the cheapest way, is you can get a plastic container and you can put air holes in them. And how can you put the air holes in? You can use a Dremel tool or a soldering iron. I personally have both and I prefer the soldering iron because it's quicker, but the Dremel makes nicer looking holes. So now if you got your enclosure, what would you need next? Substrate. So for the substrate I use Eco Earth cocoa fiber. These come in bricks and are relatively cheap. You get these kind of cocoa fiber bricks and I just put them in water and they'll turn into a big box of substrate like that. And this is only half of the brick, the other half I've mixed in with other substrate. Now to start out, normal cocoa fiber will probably be fine, but when you get into different species and stuff, I use a mix of peat and cocoa fiber, so substrate is variable, up to you, but regular cocoa fiber will work fine. Then you'll want some cork bark. You can get this at your pet shop, local pet store, or online. There's plenty of sources to get this stuff, and you'll want this to make some hides. What else you'll need is fake plants to make stuff look nice. These are really cheap. You can get these on eBay or other places, pet shop. The pet shop charges quite a bit for those, but they're not all that expensive. And then another thing you'll want is bottle caps, all sizes and forms, because these are great for water dishes. That's what I use them for, and they work perfectly fine. What else you could get, but this is not necessary, is Spagna moss. This is great for your species that like it a bit more moist, because it holds moisture really well, and I personally like to sprinkle a bit on top of my enclosures to make it look a bit nicer. Now you've got everything to set up your enclosure. Now you're going to get your tarantula. What else do you need? I highly recommend getting a catch cup. Just get some cups or tubs you can cup your tarantula with, just in case it escapes. What I use to transfer my tarantulas is this thing. You just get a bottle, cut it off, make some holes in it so you can poke through it with a stick. And you can just cut the tarantula and this, scoop something under, and there you go. Well, of course not your hand, but you know what I mean. That's the next thing. Then of course you'll want to, you don't want to touch your tarantula, generally. So what I use for that is, these are a bunch of straws, like 3 straws I fit together, like cocktail straws. These are good because when the tarantula strikes them or bites them, it can't hurt their fingers. But this can be a little light sometimes, so then I've got a chopstick. I went to get Chinese food one day, takeaway, and they gave 2 chopsticks that I didn't use, so I was like, hey, I can poke tarantulas with these. This is wood, so the tarantula also won't break their fangs on it. And what a lot of people also use is a paintbrush, because they'll not be as irritated by the bristle of the paintbrush. But I don't like this one as much because it has aluminum here. I don't want them to break their fangs, because a tarantula can break their fangs. So now you've got stuff to put your tarantula in your enclosure. Now you'll want to do maintenance to your tarantula. You'll want to take out boluses and take out water dishes and refill stuff, because you'll not want to put your hand in a tarantula's enclosure, because a tarantula will sometimes defend its home. So you'll want tongs, preferably big tongs. I got these on AliExpress or something. These were like under 10 euros, and I got this one and this one from it. They're really cheap and good and useful to take stuff out of the enclosures. But I don't recommend poking a tarantula with these, because as I mentioned before, if the tarantula just strikes at it, it can break its fangs, which is bad news because you use those to eat. I've also got some smaller tongs for slings and whatnot. What else do you need? Feeders, of course. Go to your local pet shop and go get yourself some crickets. I recommend crickets when you first start off because they're really cheap. They're in abundance. You can also get mealworms or morio worms. There's about preference really. I like crickets. They chirp, but if you get, this is size 8, so these are adults, these chirp. If you get like size 6 or 5, they're silent because only the adults chirp. What else you can get are roaches. I've got some roaches, but I don't recommend getting those. Or you can get those, but they're more expensive, but they're a lot easier to deal with than crickets. And if you start getting a sizable collection, I do recommend getting a roach colony. So what else do you need? Something to water your tarantula, because you want to give tarantula water. You can just use a regular water bottle or a spray bottle. But I like these squeeze bottles. They're from Amazon. And they're just called squeeze bottle. And when you squeeze it, water comes out in a nice straight line, which is really useful. I like these a lot. So there you go. Now you've got all the items you'll need to take care of your tarantula. You've got an enclosure. You've got substrate to put in the enclosure, cork bark to make a hide, and some leaves to make it look nice, and some spagna moss to retain moisture for your more moisture dependent species, and also to make it look more nice. So you've got a water dish to make sure tarantula gets water. You've got safe means of poking your tarantula around to rehouse it without much risk to yourself. You don't really have to touch the tarantula at all. Just put the cup over it, put something on there, put it in the enclosure, take it out, and tarantula's rehoused. There's no risk of you getting bitten or hurt. Or what you can use as well for watering is these little pipette things, but I don't really like those because they're good for slings, but that's about it. You've got means of giving them water and means of doing maintenance. So now you can keep your tarantula pretty much safe of risk with all these items. Yeah. That's a video. That's all you need to take care of your first tarantula. Now you might think that all of these things together will add up to quite a bit, and yes, they will. But it's still only initial first investment. Once you have all the stuff, you're good. You can get a second, a third, or a fourth tarantula with no additional cost except for the tarantula itself. Because as you can see by my room, over time you gather quite a few plastic enclosures to house all of them in, and eventually you'll have a closet that looks like this, or a bookcase with all your tarantulas in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to keeping tarantulas and you're going to get your first tarantula, I hope this helped to give you an idea of what you may need to take care of them. And yeah, please like and subscribe. Check out my channel for more videos, and I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.